I mean, does this movie even need an introduction? We all know that this movie is a classic. Not only is it a classic to us kids who grew up watching this movie, like myself, but even from movie critics, whether they're animation-related only people, like, not Saberspark, like Animat, for example, or just all-around movie critics like Chris Stuckman. Everyone has praised this movie over the years. And all I'm really doing is adding more to it. But don't worry, I have something to make up for that, because we're not only looking at this today, we're also going to be looking at this. This incredible fan project. But let's start with the original first, shall we? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Animation Stage. You're in no man's study stage for anything and everything animation, including a sponge that lives in a pineapple under the sea. And today we finish off Golden Era SpongeBob with the SpongeBob SquarePants Movie, released in 2004 to theaters everywhere, to pretty much unanimous acclaim from everybody. Not sure, you have those sticklers out there like, oh, this is just a kid's movie, or, oh, this movie doesn't hold up as well as your nostalgia may think it is. No. Those people are just haters. This is still an outstanding film. To this very day, nearly 20 dang years later, it still holds up incredibly well. So, if you don't mind me, I'm going to get out my notebook. I'm going to flip to the section where I have this movie listed. And instead of really going like all out and super in depth about it, because, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory and many other people have done it way better than me, I'm just instead going to read off my notes and then talk about each part and why it's a positive or a con. So let's dive in, shall we? Sorry about the blanket getting in the way. First up, amazing soundtrack. I mean, these are some of the most classic songs in all of not only SpongeBob, but animation period. You know, Now That We're Men, Goofy Goober Rock. The Goofy Goober song itself is great. Ocean Man, Best Day Ever, which would later become its own episode in Season 4. Like, this soundtrack is outstanding. Not just the vocal tracks, but also the score itself. It is beautiful. It perfectly matches every single scene. It's just amazing. Okay, next, great story. Yes, the story when you look at it is simple, you know. Plankton steals Neptune's crown, and now it's up to SpongeBob and Patrick to go get it. Yes, on paper, it sounds very simple, but what they're able to do with it is so unique, so creative, and the way that they're able to do it without it feeling forced or stretched out or feeling like only having an episode's worth of content, like, that is an achievement right there. Superb voice acting. We definitely got to talk about this. Whether you're talking about the series mainstays, you know, Tom Kenny, Bill Figurbacchi, Carolyn Lawrence, by the way, happy birthday, Carolyn, Clancy Brown, Roger Bumpus, Doug Lawrence, D. Bradley Baker, or you're talking about our guest stars here, like Alec Baldwin as the voice of Dennis. Probably still the best role he's ever done. I think it's John Hurd as King Neptune. I could be wrong on that. If it is, editing, correct me later. And then, well, aside from the one, and you guys know which one I'm going to talk about, so I'm going to save it for later. But whether it's a mainstay or a celebrity guest, they all pretty much did great here. And of course, David Hasselhoff for just, you know, being David Hasselhoff. So, yeah, most of the voice acting here is absolutely superb from everyone. And aside from one, and you guys know which one, no one slacks here. No one slacks here. It is absolutely fantastic. Smooth animation. The animation here, it's so smooth, it's so well done, and it definitely does have a budget to it. And you can tell. Now, it's not like revolutionarily nuts different from the show, but it's still very good. But the animation is also a bit of a double-edged sword, and I'm going to explain why later. But it's still very smooth animation. Strong humor that works for all ages. Yes, the writing and humor here is absolutely sharp as a knife. Like, it is so funny, it is so emotional, it is so engaging, and it's so good. Like, then, yes, you have some butt jokes in there, sure, but it's a kid's movie, you can let it slide. And not only that, it's not nearly as bad as it was in Sponge You Could Fly, to the point of being annoying. Now, here, it's funny. And then, of course, you have some very classic parts like, "My eyes! Like, there's just so many other classic iconic lines in this movie that they've pretty much become iconic lines for the entire franchise. So yeah, the humor is great here. Not only that, they also have a surprising amount of adult jokes. Like, they literally talk about death like it's nothing. I mean, you gotta give a movie credit for that when most kids' movies try to dodge around that. So. But this ain't a kid's movie. This is a man's movie. Powerful messages. Oh yeah, the messages here. They're not bashed over your head, but they are so well done and still somewhat relevant today, you know. Be yourself. Be yourself. Always have friends to rely on, you know. Stuff like that. The messages here are still really good. And again, it's not bashed over your head, which is nice for once. Perfect escalation of the stakes. Oh yes, absolutely. The stakes here start out relatively meh. Like, it doesn't really seem like it's that high of stakes, but as the movie goes on, it gets more and more and more escalated. And it doesn't feel like it's a sharp jump from here to there. No, it's perfectly built up through every single solitary scene and frame of this film. And it works so well to the film's advantage. An outstanding villain. Oh yeah, we gotta talk about Plankton in this movie. Even now, nearly 20 years later, this is still his best performance of all time. Not only because he finally gets a plan that works, and he actually does get the Krabby Patty formula, but he's also just so over-the-top maniacally evil. And in this movie, it absolutely works to every single benefit. From hiring Dennis to finding Plan Z. And he still has his goofy moments, so he's still likable, he's still himself. But he really just perfectly goes into that role of the maniacal evil villain. And his comeuppance in the end is perfect too. His character arc throughout this movie is perfect. Like, he gets everything he wants, but it all still fails in the end. Yeah, this is Plankton's best performance by far. Not just as a character, but also from the voice acting. Doug Lawrence should have gotten a friggin' Oscar for this performance. Like, he did such a great job here as Plankton. By far the best he's ever done as the character. It is so good here. And the sharp writing only makes it better. Beautiful, emotional moments. Yes, there are a lot of emotional moments in this movie. And sure, if you're an adult today, you're probably just going to look at it like, oh, okay, it works, I guess. But no, if you were a kid like me, back in those days, back in 2004, when this movie first came out, there were moments that had you bawling. Plain and simple. Whether it's the part in Shell City, I'm not going to say any more than that because I know that for some reason there's still a lot of people that have not seen this. Whether because they hate SpongeBob or just, I don't know, just because they don't want to. Whether it's the part in Shell City or Mr. Krabs turning down SpongeBob, or, all those moments. And of course, the ending, which is one of the best in cinematic history. Fight me. And speaking of the ending, let's talk about it. This is the one spoiler that I'm going to get into because I absolutely need to. I already talked about Goofy Goober Rock, but what makes it so great here is just how epic everything feels. From SpongeBob's speech about how, despite being a kid, he was able to get the crown back and save Mr. Krabs, but also relapsing his journey of self-discovery. Finding out that it's okay to be a kid, and it's okay to be whoever you are, and can still do amazing things. And then when it goes into the rock stuff, it just goes balls to the wall nuts with the friggin' visuals. Like, not only SpongeBob with the Ray-Bans, but also just the fluid bouncy animation and all the different things they do. The glass break, the dance moves. And of course the end where he becomes a literal Goofy Goober metal wizard. Like, it is so epic and awesome. And it works so well here. Like, seriously. Phenomenal ending. And then afterwards, when everything cools down, it's still a phenomenal ending that feels satisfying, gratifying, and just perfect. And if the series was ending here, like it originally was planned to, it would have been a fantastic end to the series. That's all I'm going to say about that. Tons of style. Yes, there is style all throughout this movie. Is the animation style the main part consistent? Yes. Yes, it is. But, on the other hand, it still has a ton of unique creative designs. Whether you're talking about the anglerfish, or the Thug Tug bar, or Shell City itself. Despite being live action, it still feels creative. And the lengths they're able to go throughout this movie just really goes to show how dedicated everyone was working on this. And of course, the final positive, you guys know what I'm going to say, the greatest meme ever created by humans. The shocked Patrick. This meme will forever live on as the greatest meme ever created. And probably one of the greatest things ever created by humans, period. It is funny, it doesn't last very long, but it is so versatile in the ways that you can use it. It is by far the greatest meme ever created. Not just from this show, but of all memes in general. And you will never top it. Even if you're not a fan of SpongeBob, you know exactly what meme I'm talking about. Because of your cultural osmosis. Because there have been so many great memes made with this single frame that even if you didn't watch the movie or weren't a fan of SpongeBob, you knew exactly what it is and exactly where it came from. Yeah, just the greatest meme ever. Plain and simple. Heck, it was in Rehydrated. I mean, had to have counted for something. Now, as much as I love and adore this movie, even today as a 22-year-old man, is it perfect? Unfortunately, no. There's a few little nitpicks that I have with this movie that I need to discuss, so anyone who can't take fair criticism, there's the door, get out. I'm not dealing with that bull. This is fair constructive criticism, not bashing. There's a difference. So let's see. First up, Scarlett Johansson's performance as Mindy. It worked fine watching it as a kid, but looking back at it now, especially considering it's Scarlett freaking Johansson doing this role, it did not age well. It's the one part of the movie I will say I outright don't like. Not Mindy as a character. No, just Scarlett's voice performance. Now, I'll give her a little bit of slack because this was her very first ever movie role. Yeah, there's a nice little trivia fact for you. But it's still very flat. It feels very, inexperienced, which again is understandable, but it can be a bit much sometimes. Especially in moments where she's supposed to be super emotional. Like, you just gotta believe. Like, that's the one part of this movie that I think the Rehydrated cut did better. Just saying. But Mindy as a character is still great, and I really hope they bring her back at some point for a new episode or something. Outside of just a single animated cameo. Okay, what else? Minor pacing problems. Yeah, this movie has a few just itty-bitty little things in its pacing that does make it feel a bit odd at times. Now, not to the point of destroying the movie, far from it, but just something to notice as you're watching it. Like, yeah, like I said, the escalation of stakes is perfect here, but the pacing of said escalation of stakes at times can feel a little bit rushed or maybe just a little tad bit too slow. Like, they spend so much time on that one scene at the entrance of the trench that it does kind of stall the movie for a good bit. And then the live action segments, as funny as they are, well, they feel out of place. Because it's not patchy. It's not patchy and potty, it's just a bunch of random pirates. Which, yes, it fits the theme, sure, but it just feels odd. That's just all I'm going to say. A very cliche secondary villain. Yes, as much as I think Alec Baldwin does a great job voicing Dennis, Dennis himself is a very flat, generic character that we've seen 1,000 times before in other movies, to very different extents. What do I mean by that? Well, this is the cliche of the no-nonsense hired gun out to, make someone not living anymore. Outside of that, he doesn't really have much character to him. Does he have some goofy moments? Sure, but they're very few and far in between, and in the grand scheme of the movie where everyone else has a very distinct and memorable personality, even most of the side characters, he sticks out like a sore thumb as a bit of a pole. Like just a random block of wood that's shoved in there to help escalate stakes. He's a cool design, absolutely. I really love his design, the good old BAAF cowboy look. That's no nonsense. And I do like the mustache gag, that one is funny. But, I don't know, I just feel like they could have put just a little bit more character into him, aside of making him just the hired gun. Just saying, that's something that could be fixed. The TV quality animation. Yeah, there's no way to dance around this. Like I said, while the animation is smooth and definitely well done, when you compare it to an actual episode of the show, especially Season 3, the one that came out just before this, heck, it came out while the movie was in production, you can see a budget, yes, but it still feels very TV quality. Let me explain. Say, for example, let's take a different SpongeBob movie. Let's take, for example, Sponge Out of Water, for example. Let's take a look at the 2D sections from that compared to the 2D sections in this. The 2D sections in Sponge Out of Water are nothing like they are in those seasons of the show. Season 8, to be more precise. Season 8 to the first half of Season 9. The 2D animation in Sponge Out of Water feels very distinct from the actual show itself. And of course, Sponge on the Run is entirely different because it has an entirely different animation style that's very reminiscent of stop motion. But here, it does feel like TV quality animation. Like Nickelodeon, while it gave them a budget, didn't give them a super big budget. So they tried to make it look a bit more fancy by experimenting with the colors, the lighting, the shadows. But it's still very TV quality animation. Very good TV quality animation, mind you, but still TV quality. And on a big screen, that is very distracting. And the third act. As much as I love the ending and the whole final third thing itself, it does feel a bit rushed. Like the many cutaway gags between Neptune about to fry crabs and SpongeBob and Patrick being shot back down to Bikini Bottom and David Hasselhoff's pecs. They just do so many of those cutaways that it does get to the point of feeling like filler, but it's only for a few seconds, if that. And I do feel like they could have done a better build-up with Plankton mind controlling Neptune instead of just under my umbrella. Like they could have really tried to build that up throughout the movie. Like maybe Plankton tries to manipulate Neptune and really make him think more and more that Krabs is the one that stole his crown, not him. And then right when his back is turned and he feels like he has his total trust, then pull the umbrella trick and then put him under mind control so he's under, your thing. But I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it because I've seen so many of these kind of plots. But yeah, just a little thing. That's really it. Literally all these little things are just nitpicks. Aside from Scarlett Johansson's flat performance, because again, it's her first movie, give her some slack. The rest of it is just a bunch of nitpicks. Like, this is still an outstanding, incredible movie, even to this very day. It still holds up. It's still funny. And if it was going to be the end of the series like it should have been, and like it was originally planned to be, it would be a hell of a way to go out. Going out with a huge bang. Not to mention the bucks that this movie made at the box office. It was super successful there. So with all that said, it's time for my overall final thoughts. This is a flawed but very outstanding movie that perfectly caps off the golden era of this franchise. Sharp writing, amazing soundtrack, a great story, superb voice acting, mostly, sharp writing, smooth animation, strong humor, powerful messages, perfect escalation, an outstanding villain, beautiful emotional moments, spectacular ending, tons of style, and the greatest meme ever created. Like, when you put all that compared to my itty-bitty little nitpicks, it's really insignificant. My final verdict for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie is the highest 9 out of 10 I can possibly give for this movie. It is outstanding, it is incredible, and if you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? Go watch it right now. It still holds up all these years later, and it is cherished by many as a childhood classic for a damn good reason. An outstanding film, plain and simple. Now, initially this was just going to be me talking about the SpongeBob movie. But then I remembered there was another thing. Specifically this. This is a fan-made version of the movie, made by over 300 plus collaborators. And it was made in tribute to Stephen Hillenburg, because this was made after he passed, unfortunately. And this thing does have some problems, but they're problems I kind of expected. For one, the voice acting is a little dull, but it's not horrible. I've seen worse voice acting in other places. I mean, do you know how many mockbusters I've watched over the years and they're terrible, terrible, terrible voice acting? Yeah, compared to that, this is great. I think SpongeBob is decently voiced. I especially think they nailed Patrick in particular. Patrick's voice in here is almost on point with Bill Fagerbaki. To the point where I almost couldn't recognize that was someone else doing the voice. Sure, there are a few that are a bit more noticeable, like Mrs. Puff or Mr. Krabs, but it's not to the point of ruining the whole project. But what this movie has going for it, aside from having a better Mindy voice actress than the original movie, over the original film, is style. Because you have 300 plus different animators here, you get a massive, wild variety of styles and extremely experimental, creative, unique animation. Yes, there's a few that are just straight up live action, but there are some really, really good spots in here that are just complete style. And that's the biggest thing this movie has going for it over the original. It has so much style and love and passion put into it that it puts it on par with the original, but in its own unique way to help it stand out. And it just wowed me throughout the entire experience, all the different styles that they came up with. And sure, some of them are word for word, well, frame for frame recreations of the original film, but it's not to the detriment of it. Instead, there is also a ton of unique animation, some that outright reference parts of the show. Like there's one part, like you know that scene in the beginning of this movie when SpongeBob was running around inside like, I'm ready, promotion? Well, here in this cut of the film, in this fan-made version, he's doing the bubble blowing routine, he's doing bringing around town, he's doing a bunch of these cool animations. And then also some of the background characters are references too, like there's Sonic and Tails and friggin' a bunch of background characters from both the new SpongeBob and the old SpongeBob. If you really analyze this thing, there are so many nods and references to the entire franchise up to the point it was made that it's almost brain-spinningly crazy. Now, like I said, voice acting. I can look past that. And then the music here is still really good. And I think the covers they did of the songs from the original movie are good. A bit unique and strange, but good. I especially love the really low-toned, almost lo-fi cover they made of Ocean Man for the end credits. Like, it is so laid back. It's like a ukulele ballad. It's really pretty. Like, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, they give recognition to all the animators, which, of course, they had to do. And then there's the other thing about this movie, and that's the hell it had to go through to even get uploaded on YouTube. From YouTube, copyright BS, and COPPA, and Viacom. Like, it's literally an underdog tale. Because after all the hell this movie had to go through to even get on YouTube, it was awarded with 3.7 million views, and has been given so much positive praise from SpongeBob fans. Myself included. You can add me into that pile because I love this fan-made version of the movie. It's not better than the original, no. It's not meant to be. It's just meant to be a fan-made recreation of the movie that completely goes nuts with its style as a tribute to Stephen Hillenburg's legacy. Heck, at the very end of this movie, they do something amazing. After all the end credits, they have a one last segment where SpongeBob is talking to Squidward about this essay he wrote for his boating school, because boating school did like a job essay assignment or something like that. And the script they read from is actually one of Stephen Hillenburg's original scripts from the show that ended up getting cut. Like, that's how dedicated everyone was here, that they would go that far to make such a deep cut reference just to pay tribute to the man. And yes, it is a better tribute than Sponge Out of the Water. Sponge on the Run. Sorry, I get them confused. But yeah, this is also a 9 out of 10. It is a beautiful fan tribute, filled with style, filled with pizzazz, filled with references, and just made with so much love, care, attention, and passion. It's an amazing fan project, and if you guys haven't checked it out, you absolutely need to. And I know I don't usually do projects, but this one I had to make an exception. Okay, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And, yeah, that does it for pre-movie Golden Era SpongeBob. From here on out, we're jumping into the modern stuff, which is, both hit and miss. But before we do that, we have 2 more videos to do. And that's going to be the reviews of the 2 Purple Lamp SpongeBob games. Which ones do you think I'm talking about? I know you already know, but I'm going to pull them out anyway. I'm specifically talking about these 2. I'm talking about Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I'm going to take a day off tomorrow to write the script for that review, because I feel like my original script needs a little revision. And something I'm pretty sure a lot of you have been pretty highly anticipating for me to talk about. The Cosmic Shake. Probably going to be my game of the year for 2023. Just saying that right now. Because this game right here, it's a masterpiece. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to try to finish this game in time for my review. And the review's going to be on the 19th, because I got to make a whole new script for this one. So, that's what you guys had to look forward to. So, until then, thank you guys for watching. I'm Jack Small of Animation Station. Stay spongy. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Oh, and like, share, subscribe, do all that algorithmic garbage. Peace.